Hello again, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm updating about my half marathon training, how it was going. So last week wasn't great because I'm not sure what it was, but I felt a bit ill. I had a really bad sore throat, couldn't stop coughing for a couple of days. So I took some cough medicine and some cough sweets. Eventually after about 3 or 4 days it went. But I didn't quite feel myself, so I don't know what it was. I wouldn't say it's a flu or a serious cold, but just didn't feel right. So that's the only thing really. The heart rate was the same, the stress level, the sleep was the same. But when you're ill, you're ill, so it's best off just to give it a rest. So the miles for last week was a bit low, and then because of work and things like that, so I can't always do my long run on the same set day. So, like I said, I was going to do an extra 10% distance on each week, plus an extra 10% on each long run, with some faster short runs in the middle. So, last time I did a run, I overestimated the distance. Well, I went a bit too far because of, I think the last long run was when there was the swans, so I had to change direction, and then because I went back to the start, like past a checkpoint where I went through, and then I had to go up the other side, and in my head I got the distance wrong. I went a little bit over, but not too far over. So this week I could either do 10% extra what I should have done, or 10% extra of what I did do. You got to be careful you're not overdoing the 10%, and because before you know it, you're doing too far, too fast. But this week, so I looked at the training schedule thing I wrote. It's not in solid rock, you can change it. But I had a look, and because of working and things like that, I was trying to plan when can I do my next long run, because it's only a few weeks' time now when the big half marathon is. So I want to give it a week or two before the event to start tapering down. So if you haven't done a long run by, say, 2 weeks before, then you're not going to get any fitter really in 2 weeks. It's more to do with easing off now and stopping injuries and just ticking over. So today I thought I'd do 10% extra, which I worked it out to be 12.3. So I was going to do 12.3. I was going to set off at 8 a.m, but I was a bit delayed, so I set off about 40 minutes late. So I was just going to cut it short today and do 9 miles. But then I ummed and ahed about the time. I thought, no, we can squeeze it in. You can get, if I go at 9:30-minute miles, it'd be about 2 hours. So I'll get back whatever time, and that's okay. So I set off to do 12.3 miles, but I didn't plan it on my watch. I just pressed 12.3. When you go into the run setting on a Garmin, you can put in a pace you want to do and a distance and a time and whatever your goal is. So I put in 12.3 miles and I put in 9:30-minute miles. But I didn't actually plot a route. So all I knew, I had to do 6.15 miles and then turn around. When I got to about the 5 mile mark, I had to make a little change of plan in my head. I was going to there's a bridge at this 5 mile mark where you got to cross over the river, and then I was going to follow the river path up until the 6.3 turnaround and then come back. But I had to make a little short turnaround and go a different way, and then back on myself, and then I went over the bridge and then up this river path. So the turnaround point was different to what I had originally in my head. And then the first 5-6 miles, I was trying to go really above 9.5 minute miles, and then because it's slightly uphill for the first 6 miles. Then I thought, well, you turn around, it's slightly downhill on the way back. Save energy in the first half, then the second half you got a bit more energy and motivation to, you've done half, so you can just go a bit faster the second half. So I got to the halfway point at about 9 30-minute miles, which it's okay. It means I'm dead on time, but I wanted to go a bit slower really. I was trying, if it did feel easy, so on purpose I was trying to brake a little bit, but it was hard going slower when you feel good. So I got to the halfway point about 9:30. I turned around, but because of where I turned around at the 6.3, well, actually, I'll tell you a story. When I was running the last, in between mile 5 and 6, I thought to myself, well, if I can do 12.3 miles today, well, I might as well just do an extra 0.8 and do the whole 13 half marathon. It's not a lot difference. It's not going to make much effect on like if you're injuries or overtraining. So quick decision, decided, yeah, I'll just do half a marathon. So instead of turning around at the 6.3 mile mark, I turned around at the half. But I didn't plan it, so I didn't know where it was going to be. So I'd just keep running until my watch said the half of it, and then I turned around. But because I made a slight little detour off my planned in my head route, I had to copy it exact to get back exact. Even though the second half was downhill, and the second half you should be able to go faster than the first half because you've saved energy, it didn't go to plan. I was slightly over. It's 9:40. We can talk about the times you can see there. I made one big mistake. At 8 miles, I think it was 8.8 mile, I think it was a Garmin Strava segment popped up in my watch. So I didn't want to do a Strava segment. So you can press down and cancel it. But I must have pressed the wrong button, and then it paused it. So I carried on jogging. I didn't stop. So I probably paused it for maybe 10 meters, and then I pressed restart again, but I didn't press restart. I must have pressed stop, and then I pressed save instead of not save and carry on playing. So that's why I've got a red dotted line there, because I did about 8.82 miles, I think the Garmin says it was. Then I ran about 10 meters, carrying on going, and then I had to press play again. So I did do 13.1 because it was exactly the same distance out as back, and out I knew was halfway point was perfect, dead on. So it was 13.1, but my pacing strategy went a bit weird there because it was halfway through a mile, or 0.8 of a mile through. So then it messed up the mileage. I also messed up my head how far ahead I was. I know on the way out, the 1 mile mark was by a bridge. The 2 mile mark then roughly knew where that was, but it obviously it's 13.1 miles half marathon is. So the last couple of miles, I was trying to think, should I go a bit faster? Should I go a bit faster? What's the pace like? But there's a bit of a mistake here. So I was a bit gutted really, because I knew the Garmin wouldn't record it as a half marathon event. So I can't say this is my 5th best time or the 6th best time or whatever. I knew I did the distance, but if I want to say how many calories I burned, I'm going to have to add it up together. It was 1,500 something, but added up together, the heart rate I think was 124 and 127, but that's an average of like 125-ish, whatever. My Garmin works out how many steps I've done, but it won't show as one event. On my Strava, it doesn't say I've done one event. It's got 8.8 and then 4 whatever the second one was. But it was continuous. I didn't stop. Maybe a 10 meter gap there in the middle but But also around the 5-6 mile mark where I said I crossed over the bridge and things, I think them little I turned round. When you get into an urban environment, there's a bridge and a footpath, and there's not a gate, but there's like a little pedestrian weave thing to stop the bikes going through, and bollards and things like that. So there's a ramp and things like that. So when you turn around, you do stop for a split second, or your pace slows down a bit, unless you're going to accelerate out of that corner. The more corners you've got, your speed does get a bit messed up. So around the 5-6 mile mark, there's a bit of a mess up. Around the 9 mile mark was where my watch messed up. Pace and strategy was just, like I said, trying to stay about 9:30 or above in the first half, and then it was to go faster in the second half. But the numbers there, I'm not sure if they're messed up or not, or was just I did go slower. It did feel slower, but not because I was tired or anything. It just felt slower. It started raining about here somewhere. I did try and use energy gels today as a bit of a practice for the event to test the flavour, because obviously you don't want to open them up just for the sake of it. So to test the flavours, I bought a box of 6 or 7, all different flavours. So today I chose the 3 I don't like the most, hoping that if they're okay, or well, my nicer flavours I'll use for the big day. So today I think I had a blackcurrant, pineapple, and passion fruit or pink grapefruit or something, a pink one. The plan was, because I was aiming to do it in about 2 hours, so about every half an hour in, half an hour, and then that'll be it. So about half an hour's in. To make it easier, because I was going to do 12 miles, I did just say the 3 mile point and the 9 mile point, 369. I actually had the third one at about the 8 mile point, because on the canal path where I ran, there's no bins at all from mile 0 to like mile 3, I think. There's 0 bins. And if you ever had an energy gel, even if you get as much out as you can, they're still sticky. So if you put it in your pocket, you end up making a mess. So I knew if I had it at mile 9, past the last bin, I'm going to have to carry it or put it in my pocket for a good 3 miles. And I didn't really want to make a mess in my vest. I wore my running vest. I carried I can't remember exactly, but about litre, maybe 1.1, 1.2 litres. And I only drank 500 ml. So, and that was fine. I did sip every mile. Towards the end, I started having a bigger sips and stuff. So not gulping it, but about every mile. So every 10 minutes, having a little bit. And that was only 500 ml. So I don't really need to carry a whole litre. I think on the big event, there's going to be 2 drink stations. I don't know where they'll be. They might be at around the 4 mile point or the 8 mile point, or I don't know. Not sure where. I don't know. Haven't got a clue. So I know I could have 500 ml, and there's 2 stations where I could have more if I needed to, or I could just take 1,000 and I'm sure I'll be fine. The energy gels are 3, 6, 9 or 8. No stomach upsets. I didn't really feel any loads of energy bursts, but I didn't feel tired at the end. Maybe, salt. It wasn't really a hot day, so I don't really need to have loads of electrolytes, but they are obviously good to have them anyway, because you do sweat. Before the run, I was 181.8 pounds, and then after I was 179.2. Well, plus half a litre of water, which is a pound as well. So I probably would have been about 178.2 if I didn't have the water. So I lost a couple of pounds of sweat. My goal weight is 178 and it's 179. So it's only a couple of days left. 18 days left. So 18 days to lose a pound. or about £1. So weight wise, I'll probably be about £178 where I want it to be. My goal time, I was going to aim for 148 because I think my record's 149, 8:15 minute miles. I'm not sure if I could do that, but I'm thinking there's not a lot of reward for doing a 148. It's not a world record. Yeah, it'll be my personal record, but there's not a lot of reward for 148. So I'm thinking I might just push for 2 hours. My running partner, like today, did 2:07. I think possibly 2 hours might have been a record. I go 1:49. So I think it might be better if I go slower, enjoy myself, but help someone out than me bombing off and not getting a record anyway. If I get 150, I haven't beaten a record, and then my partner wouldn't have beaten a record, so then no one's beaten a record and everyone's just knackered and unhappy. So it might be easier just to have a more of a chill out run, but motivation and help and support for someone who's trying hard. At least one of us can get a good record, and I'd be happy to see someone else get a good time as well. So to get 2 hours, I think it's 9:20 minute miles. Obviously 9:22, 9:20, 9:27, 9:23. At the end, they're high nines, but this is on a canal path, some stones, there's some corners. On the day, in 18 days' time, there's going to be supporters, people cheering, thousands of people running the event as well, so you're getting a slipstream. So it's possible on a good day with a lot of water, carbs, rest, things like that, 7 or 8 minutes could get knocked off. Yeah, so that's what happened today. Set out to do 12.3, ended up doing 13.1, smashed half marathon. I don't really need to do that anymore. 18 days time, done it. But it's the first half marathon I've ever done, which is an event. So I've done half marathons before. I've done a marathon before, just haven't done events. So that'll be my first ever. I think might get a t-shirt and maybe a medal. It won't be a gold medal, but it'll be a well done medal. So probably the goal is going to be 9:20s. I have got a route planned from Garmin, so I can see how hilly it is. It's not a really big hill, but it goes up and down a little bit. So I'm not sure what the pacing strategy will be. I might just set my Garmin and you can adjust the slider for the pace for uphill. So it'll just put it down a bit for the uphills. But yeah, that's what I did today. Completed it, mate. Yeah, done a half marathon. First one this year. The longest one I've done this year as well. No knee pain. Well, there was a bit of knee pain, but no injury knee pain. Ankles were okay, legs were okay. I wasn't too tired. I wasn't out of breath. Heart rate was like 125 average. I didn't sweat loads. I didn't feel faint. Wasn't dizzy. A little bit drizzle in the last couple of miles, but I think the temperature was about 15, 16 degrees with a t-shirt on. And on the day, I know it's 18 days time. On the day, it's going to be about 8 in the morning. So possibly the same sort of temperature. It's actually in England. It's only 20 miles that way, but the weather does change on the border of Wales and England. So yeah, half marathon done. I can do the distance. Now it's just sort of easing back the distance, keeping at the miles distance okay. Maybe working a bit of speed, a bit of tactics in my mind, nutrition strategies, things like that. Getting there early so you're not rushing around and stressed. But at least now I know I can do 13 miles this year. I could do at least a 2:07 or 9:30-ish minute miles. Maybe go for 2 hours. Okay, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and see you soon.